Welcome back, No Contest Nation. I'm your host, Jordan from No Contest. Today's topic is why the third Hokage is the strongest. You guys already know my slogan. We did this research for you so you don't have to do it yourselves. Here in No Contest, we try to make it easier for you to get information on the Naruto universe. By the end of the video, you will know everything there is to know about the third Hokage being the strongest. So make sure you stay to the end of the video so you don't miss anything. Oh, and by the way, we noticed that the No Contest Nation is growing at a rapid rate, and I want to personally say thank you. Let's keep this growth going, ladies and gents, and let's spread the word that we're one of the best anime channels out there. Now that we're past that, let's get into the video.
No contest.
So, No Contest Nation, this may come to a shock to you because it certainly was a shock to me, is that the third Hokage, Hiruzen, was supposedly stronger than the two Hokage before him. So obviously the two Hokage before him that I'm referencing is Hashirama Senju and Tobirama Senju. So get this, No Contest Nation, the third Hokage in his prime, he was called the God of Shinobi and also the Professor due to his endless arsenal of jutsu and versatility with jutsu. Now, us Naruto fans are immediately taken aback by this because where? Like, show me. Now, there's multiple avenues that we can go down for a reason that he may be called the strongest at some point. Let's look over his strengths and feats first. So we know that the third Hokage was able to use all 5 base chakra natures naturally, which is extremely rare amongst any shinobi if you know anything about Naruto. Meaning the third Hokage has an answer for almost all opposing jutsu. Not only that, on the opposite end, he was able to instantly deduce your jutsu and technique from a moment's glance at your hand seals, which makes him difficult to deal with because before your technique comes out, he already has a weakness in mind for your jutsu. He also wields one of the strongest summonings in Naruto, if not the strongest summoning in Naruto, Monkey King Enma, who had the ability to transform into a staff for the third Hokage's usage. The staff alone was able to deflect Hashirama's wood style, and at one point pushed the 9 tails out of the village by extending the staff. So, if you're thinking about that, in real life, the 9 tails is supposed to be considered a few hundred tons, which each ton is 2,000 pounds. So, this staff is pushing 100 tons. Like, dude, that's just crazy to think about. Now, I always invite people to go do their due diligence. When I looked up Kurama's weight, it did say 2,000 pounds, but that doesn't make any sense. The reason why it doesn't make any sense is because look how big Kurama is. Now, yes, it says he's 2,000 pounds, but that means he weighs less than an average human truck. An average human truck weighs in between 4,000 to 7,000 pounds. Now, tell me where that makes sense. It doesn't. So we're gonna go with logic here. There's a couple of forums that I've seen that people have actually done the math for, and it says that Kurama comes out to around 74,000 pounds up to 100,000 pounds. All right, so to get back on topic, Monkey King Enma also manhandled Hashirama and Tobirama at the same time during a fight between Orochimaru and the third Hokage. Given all of this, is this enough to be considered the strongest? Enma is definitely a huge benefactor on why the third Hokage could even be considered to be the strongest Hokage. But the feat that Enma fended off the first and second Hokage is shaky solely on the reanimation jutsu's supposed limitations. Those brought back in reanimation are considered to be nerfed versions of themselves in comparison to when they were alive, of course. Especially when the jutsu debuted when Orochimaru used it. So think about it. Hashirama is known to have a Sage mode and a Wood Golem that rivaled Susanoo. And Tobirama had Flying Raijin, but none of those techniques were used against the third Hokage when Orochimaru had control over the first and second. Understanding reanimation jutsu is important to scale the events that happen because in the future of the show, Orochimaru summons the first and second Hokage again, but had a hard time controlling the second and couldn't control the first. The reason being is that when you reanimate an individual closer to their actual power level, depending on the individual, they may or may not be able to break free from the caster of the jutsu. Funny enough, the third could not break away from the caster, which, with that information alone, you can infer that he isn't as strong as the first and second. Around this time, the reanimation jutsu was nearly perfected, so Orochimaru was able to bring them back closer to their true strength in comparison to the first time when he brought them back to fight the third Hokage when he was alive. But I would like to mention that experience can often beat more powerful opponents. The third Hokage at the time was the longest living Hokage, dying at 69, in comparison to the most Hokage dying at a young age. I personally think it's unlikely though. Experience does often get beat out by individuals that are in a different realm of power. So essentially, in order for experience to potentially beat stronger opponents, the strength level has to be somewhat relative, in which this case, it doesn't seem to be so. Another way the third Hokage could have been considered to be the strongest is perhaps politically. At the time of his reign, obviously the third Hokage built on top of what the first and second Hokage cultivated, which over the course of years could have been the strongest the Leaf Village has ever been a few years after the third took over. His influence on other lands, military might, trade, and infrastructure could have catapulted the third to feel like he was in another realm of power over the world. Also, being a teacher of the legendary Sannin that are widely known across the nations is a tribute to his reputation indirectly, not to mention being a student of the third Hokage and receiving tutelage from the first Hokage is considered prestigious in its own right. The most plausible theory is that the strengths and the feats of the first and second Hokage just felt like fairy tales to the new generation of people. Not many could say that they can believe in something if there aren't others kind of like doing the same things in the present time. For example, hearing that the first Hokage can manifest a wood golem that is hundreds of stories high is hard to believe if you've never seen anything like that, or like it's just not well documented. So for the future generations, they're gonna be like, okay, well, we never seen anything like that, so it kind of has to be a fairy tale, right? So to put this in more perspective, imagine someone saying that the second president of the United States could bring people back to life, and you go years without seeing anybody remotely close doing that in the present day. You wouldn't believe it. I even found a panel of Kabuto saying this very thing in the 4th Great Ninja War, that people doubted that the first Hokage was as strong as his legend says he is. If that's the case, of course people of the current era would say that the third Hokage is the strongest, because that's all they knew. What do you guys think? Do you think that the third Hokage is comparable to the other Hokage, or do you think he's weaker? Make sure you comment your thoughts below in the comment section below, and make sure if you haven't already, click the subscribe button, the notification bell, and the like button if you want more content like this. I'm your host Jordan from No Contest. I'll see you on the next one.